Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Hello everybody, I hope that you're doing well. Today we're going to work on Surah Al AALA. Surah Al AALA, or the Most High, is the 87th Surah of Al Quran Al Kareem. Surah Al AALA is made of 19 verses, 19 ayat. Surah Al AALA is part of the last chapter, the last juz of Al Quran Al Kareem, which includes all the small surahs starting from Surah Al Naba 78 to Surah Al Nas 114. According to some scholars, the Prophet Sayyidina Muhammad liked Surah Al AALA. It was close to his heart. In general, the Imams like to start Salat al-Shafa wal-Witr with Surah Al AALA. Surah Al AALA was revealed in the city of Mecca at a time when Sayyidina Muhammad was not fully accustomed to receiving the revelations. And as the revelation descended, he feared that he would forget its words, and he was afraid not to be able to remember the ayat and the surah correctly. So he started to repeat them in order to memorize them by heart. Surah Al AALA talks about mainly three subjects: the Tawheed, the oneness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the instructions to the Prophet Sayyidina Muhammad and the hereafter. Surah Al AALA begins with a glorification of Allah for all that He has created, man, angel, plants, and animals, with a praise of Allah, the Almighty, who gave life to man, creatures, and vegetation, which is a perfect creation of divine work. Surah Al AALA recalls the greatness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the perfection of His creation, affirming that success and reward will be reserved to all those who perform their prayers, showing devotion and glorification towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Everything that lives on earth attests to the oneness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Surah Al AALA also brings good news to the Prophet Sayyidina Muhammad. Indeed, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells him that He will help him in his mission of transmitting the divine words, and that He will ensure that the Quran Al Kareem remains well imprinted in his memory and that it cannot be altered in any way. Surah Al AALA includes the fundamentals of Islam and confirms that these fundamentals are firmly rooted in the messages that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has previously revealed, and Surah Al AALA addresses the conditions of the revelation of Al Quran Al Kareem by recalling the foundations of the previous books, those of Sayyidina Ibrahim and Sayyidina Musa. Now I'm going to translate Surah Al AALA ayah by ayah. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. In the name of Allah, the entirely merciful, the specially merciful. Sabbih ismi rabbika al-a'la. Glorify the name of Allah, the Most High, of your Lord. Alladhi khalaqa fasawwa. That He has created, then designed it. Walladhi qaddara fahada. And that He has decreed a destiny, then guided. From Ayah 1 to Ayah 3, Surah Al AALA opens with a command to glorify Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Glorify the name of your Lord the Most High. To glorify Him means to praise Him and recognize His oneness. It is to glorify Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's sovereignty and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's greatness. At the beginning of Surah Al AALA, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ordered His messenger to glorify His name, to encourage believers to recognize His generosity and kindness, His goodness towards them. In the first ayah, the Tawheed, which is the monotheism, is summed up saying that the name of Allah should be glorified and exalted. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala must not be invoked by any name which may imply a deficiency, a fault, a weakness, or any aspect of resemblance to created beings, because the basis of all false dogmas in the world are all false concepts about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, all false dogmas who attributes an erroneous form to His glorious and exalted being. It is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who created everything by giving everything a harmonious form. Everything He creates is well balanced and perfect. Everything has a role and a function on this planet. It is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who determines the destiny of everyone and everything, and each creature receives its share to help realize its purpose. So in the first part of Surah Al AALA, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commends at-tasbih, to glorify, while emphasizing the attributes that prove that the absolute lordship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He is the Lord who creates, who forms man, who determines and decides his destiny, but also He's the one who gives life and withdraws it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wishes that man creates a relationship with Him, their creator, by glorifying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and by quoting Him constantly. In the second and third ayah, Surah Al AALA evokes the perfection with which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created humans, angels, animals, and plants. These creatures bear witness to His lordship and greatness. Human beings can only marvel such splendor and beauty. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has organized the stars, the heavens, the earth, the seas. He guided man and instructed him so that he could taste and profit reasonably from all of these abundance. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has also assigned to each creature a specific purpose to serve man until the end of his days. Surah Al AALA reveals three different attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He is the creator of the whole universe. He is the creator of man in perfect condition with all the right dimensions and proportions. He is also the facilitator for all events. وَالَّذِي أَخْرَجَ الْمَرْعَى, and that He brought forth the herbage, the greens from earth. فَجَعَلَهُ غُثَاءً أَحْوَى, then turned it into black refuse. In ayah 4 to 5, the image changes and takes us to the world of plants. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who grows the pastures and then cuts them down to dark colored stubble. Every plant has a purpose, from the moment it comes out of the ground to the moment it withers and dies. The soul has its own regeneration process during each season. In the fourth ayah, Surah Al AALA talks about the creation of the pastures, graceland, a beauty of life that benefits all men, that dries up and becomes a dark hay before disappearing, which remind us that this world is ephemeral, short-lived. All believers should dedicate their lives to doing the right things, the practices of good works and good deeds, and to turn to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and to believe in the day of resurrection. سَنُقْرِئُكَ فَلَا تَنْسَى, we will make you recite, in this case it's the Quran, so you will not forget it. إِلَّا مَا شَاءَ اللَّهِ إِنَّهُ يَعْلَمُ الْجَهْرَ وَمَا يَخْفَى. Nevertheless, this is what Allah wills. Surely He knows what is manifest and what is hidden. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks to the Prophet Sayyidina Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and tells him He will make it easy for him to recite the Quran so that he will not forget it. Forgetting is part of human nature, but Sayyidina Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam does not have to worry about forgetting any part of the revelation given to him, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala promises him to ensure that he will not forget anything. This is good news both for the Prophet and the entire Muslim Ummah. The preservation of Al-Quran al-Kareem is a blessing that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us as Muslims. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the guarantor of the preservation of Al-Quran al-Kareem, and the Prophet Sayyidina Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, who feared that he could not memorize it, he actually did memorize all the verses of the revelation and endeavored to repeat the revelations as they came down. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala assures the Prophet Sayyidina Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and tells him that the Quran will remain engraved in his heart and it will be fixed in his memory. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala consoles the Prophet Sayyidina Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam as if to say, do not worry about learning the words of Al-Quran al-Kareem which has been revealed to you. It is up to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to preserve it in your memory. It is the result of Allah's blessings and favors. And the Prophet Sayyidina Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam's responsibility is to convey the truth, and the easiest way is for the preaching to be directed to a person who is willing to listen and to accept it. And the person who pays no attention to it, he or she should not be followed. The person who fears the consequences will listen to the truth and accept it, while the wretched, miserable one who persists in refusing to hear the message and denying it or ignoring it will see himself or herself in a disastrous destiny. وَنُيَسِّرُكَ لِلْيُسْرَى, and we shall make it easy for you so that it may be easy. فَذَكِّرِ النَّفَاعَةِ الذِّكْرَى, therefore do dhikr. From ayah 8 to ayah 9, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said to Sayyidina Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam that he will facilitate the path for him to take. It is the path of Al-Islam, the path which is easy and natural, that leads us to paradise, which is taken through Al-Islam. This universe was created by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with ease, and it follows its course with ease, moving easily towards its ultimate goal. It is a known fact that the Prophet Sayyidina Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam always chose the easier way in all situations, as long as that way was lawful and did not incite to sin or misbehavior. Al-Islam makes the way to paradise easy for anyone who knows how to live in harmony with the universe. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asks the Prophet Sayyidina Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam to remind people, because reminding can be very helpful. There will always be people in every place and in every generation who will benefit from the recall. سَيَذَّكَّرُ مَنْ يَخْشَى, he who is in reverence towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will do dhikr, which is to repeat the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَيَتَجَنَّبُهَا الْأَشْقَى, and the most unfortunate one will avoid it. الَّذِي يَصْلَى النَّارَ الْكُبْرَى, that he, the most unfortunate one, shall be flung into a great fire. ثُمَّ لَا يَمُوتُ فِيهَا وَلَا يَحْيَى, then in it, the fire, he shall neither die nor find life. In ayah 10 to ayah 13, those who pay attention to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's words will enjoy the reminder, but the wicked will ignore it and they will burn in the fire prepared for them, in which they will neither die nor live. They will not be given a break or rest from death, nor will they be allowed to enjoy life. The one who turns away and refuses to hear the warnings will live always in anguish and hunger for the pleasures of this world, while knowingly ignoring the hereafter. The greatest fire is that of hell, where suffering is eternal. قَدْ أَفْلَحَ مَنْ تَزَكَّى, whoever cleansed his soul is in salvation. وَذَكَرَ اسْمَ رَبِّهِ فَصَلَّى, the one who cleansed his soul remembered, repeated the name of his Lord, and performed the prayers. بَلْ تُؤْتِرُونَ الْحَيَاةَ الدُّنْيَا, nay, you prefer the life of this world. وَالْآخِرَةُ خَيْرٌ وَأَبْقَى, and the life of the hereafter is better and lasting. Ayah 14:17, the person who pays attention to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's warning and purifies himself will be successful. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asks us to listen to the message and to purify ourselves from our sins by calling on His name often and by praying. Surah Al A'la points out the huge difference between the two options: to pay attention to the message and be saved, or ignore the message and be damned. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala underlines the main reason which makes people fail. They prefer life here and are not aware that the hereafter is better and more durable. إِنَّ هَذَا لَفِي الصُّحُفِ الْأُولَى, most surely this is indeed in the former pages as well. صُحُفِ إِبْرَاهِيمَ وَمُوسَى, in the pages of Abraham and Moses. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala concludes Surah Al A'la by recalling that the message of Al-Islam is not new. It goes back to the first scriptures which were revealed to Sidna Ibrahim and Sidna Musa. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala warns men that this world is fleeting, passing by, just short-lived, and it is better to prepare the encounter with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the arrival of the last day. These exhortations, these warnings already existed in the books of Sidna Ibrahim and Sidna Musa. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Surah Al A'la talks precisely about these two books because in the time of the Arabs, these two books were well known. And because of that, the Prophet Sayyidina Muhammad was sent only to recall or correct what the previous people had forgotten over time or even falsified. In Surah Al A'la, we see a description of three types of people: those who will recognize the truthfulness of the Quran al-Karim and accept it without hesitation. These are the God-fearing believers. Those who hesitate about the Quran al-Karim and want to have tangible and convincing proof to convert to Islam. And finally, those who are completely closed to the recall, the message, and who completely deny the religion of Sayyidina Muhammad. These are the disbelievers who turn away from the good with their own free will. Only those who adopt purity of faith with morals and good deeds, those who call on their Lord and perform the prayers, will be successful. But on the contrary, those who are utterly misguided in seeking profit and ease and pleasures of this world will suffer greatly, where instead they should have done their best for their welfare in the hereafter. And this truth was expressed not only in the Quran al-Karim, but it was also made known to men in the books of the Prophet Sidna Ibrahim and Sidna Musa. So in conclusion, Surah Al A'la reminds us that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the Most High, and it is He who creates and establishes proportions, determines the course of things, and guides people. Wallahu a'lam. I hope that this small explanation and translation of Surah Al A'la was helpful. I wish you the best. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Bye-bye.